Okay. So what I'm going to do today is generally cover the main aspects of our product that really impact everybody, regardless of what pipeline you ship on. We might get into some of the various details of how maybe Buckeye handles a nom versus Colonial versus Explorer, but for the most part, we'll stick in the realm of general. Right now, everyone looking at my screen, please understand this is our test environment, and this is all fake data. So you'll see, if you look at some of these batch codes here, you'll see that the batch code has AAA in it. All of the information is AAA. This is just all fake dummy data that we use for testing so that we're not showing anyone any real information. So what am I looking at right now? This is a new screen, and it's called the T4 dashboard. The goal of the dashboard is to give you a heads-up display of the information that you care about most. This dashboard is fully customizable by your T4 account. So if you're sharing T4 usernames, this is one of the pages where it's going to kind of influence you not to share them, because your buddy is going to change this, and it's going to actually change what happens throughout the rest of the site. So I have mine set.
You said there was an incident?
That's fine. It's just
So I have mine set to show nominations first, but then I have schedules, I have tickets, you can see I have PTOs and third-party tickets. All of these screens can be moved around. So if schedules is the thing that's most important to you, you can actually grab the header of any of these boxes here, and you can drag them around. You can also change the layout. So if you want a more compact layout, you can change the layout here, and you can see, now I can see 4 of my 5 grids native to this resolution that I have here. I'm going to go ahead and change it back to the large view. One of the other aspects of these widgets to notice is the drop down on the top right of every single one of these. Now, the system defaults to next 10 days of movements for noms, but you can change this to be next 30 days, current month, and even my maintenance, which is what mirrors the old T4 dashboard. This is going to show you what your account has actually touched, the noms you have edited, changed, or added in the last 10 days. So I encourage each of you to take a look at these options and configure each of these widgets to give you the data that you want. Now, this is doubly important because of some confusion we get with this thing called the drawer, and I will cover this here in a second. But more basic changes from the old interface is our layout. We no longer have all the little icons at the top. We have self-explanatory headers, noms, schedules, PTOs, tickets, allocations. We have additional menus, our secondary menus to the right. So if you want to see the carrier invoices or even your T4 invoice if you have access, if you want to make bids on Explorer Colonial, if you want to see inventory, you can do that here, and you can even go to this little 3-lined menu option, which I'm not kidding you, is called a hamburger in UX terms. It's called the hamburger because I guess it looks kind of like a hamburger, though personally I like my hamburgers to have more meat than bun, but in this case this is more like a McDonald's hamburger. And you can see we have the announcements, so if you want to see the announcements, you can click on that there, or you can also see carrier information. This is the old CCIM page. So this is where you go to get all of your carrier-related information, so I'll click on it. You can see you have all the logos here, and if you click on any of these, it'll bring you to a page that is specific to that carrier, and you can find tariffs, etc. Now I'm going to go back to the dashboard, and I do that by going over to our logo and clicking on it. Okay, and then finally in our menu system, we have the notification center. That's going to show you 3 main features that require action for you. In this case, we have third-party tickets, we have alerts, and we have bulletins. These are unread bulletins. And the third-party notification, in this case, it says 8, and that's because I have 8 third-party requests, either grants or inbound requests that require my attention. Either I accept them or reject them. Okay, and last for the menuing, you have the footer here. Now this is kind of tucked away, and a lot of people didn't realize that you could actually come down here and click on this. It opens up, and it shows you how to get in touch with us. It shows you who your company admin is, and then it gives you a lot of additional information about the services we offer, or who to contact. For example, if you want to know initial nom dates by carriers, you can actually click that here, and it brings it up. A little PDF for your screen shows you for all the pipelines when their nominations are due. Okay, so this whole page is new, and I will want you to spend some time and ask some questions if you have any questions about the dashboard, because we're trying to make this as useful as possible. But along with the dashboard is this brand new feature which persists throughout the entire website called the drawer. Now I'm going to open the drawer, and we'll go through this one by one. In this case, you can see I have a bunch of different carriers here. I have them all selected. Because they're all selected, all of these carriers show in my dashboard. This also shows me and you the kind of security that my T4 account has. In this case, my T4 account is called JR Test AAA, and I have access to all of these pipelines. Now, if I'd like, I can add additional criteria, which will filter out what happens in the dashboard, but it will also filter out what happens as I navigate through this site if I want it to. So for that, as an example, I'll hit add. I can pick company, location, product type. Company is not your company. You shouldn't put your company there because the accounts aren't going to kind of filter to your company. But let's say you always do business with one other refiner, and that's what you're in charge of. You care about this business with this other refiner. You can actually put their company code there, and it will filter down the information you see on the dashboard to be just your business with that company. If you want to add a bunch of locations, for instance, if you're an origin scheduler and you only care about stuff coming out of the Gulf Coast, you want to see the stuff coming out of Pasadena for Explorer and TEPCO and Colonial, you can add those various company codes there. And then finally, the one that's used most often is product type. So if you're the gasoline scheduler and you don't care about the jet fuel, you don't care about the distillate, you can come in here and put in gasoline, and you can see if I type that ahead, it'll bring that, click on it. I'll hit add, and now it will filter down this information to just gasoline. And you can add fuel oil if you're on a distillate schedule for Colonial. You can add distillate for every other pipeline. You can add kerosene, that's your jet fuel. You can even put crude, LPG in here, etc. The rest of the dashboard is going to show every page that you have marked as your favorite. As you can see, I don't have any favorites, and any saved searches that you have. And that will persist throughout the entire site. So for us, I'm going to come here. I'm going to put let's see. I'm going to actually change this a little. I'm going to deselect all my pipelines, and I'll add Buckeye, and I'll add Colonial. Okay. Now, so I have gasoline, Buckeye, Colonial, and my search preferences are set to drawer. So what I'm looking right now on my dashboard is everything Buckeye, Colonial, and gasoline. Let's see if I can see anything. This is all, I don't have any gasoline here for these guys. But we don't need that for the purpose of this demonstration. So the drawer or dashboard is always going to filter down to the drawer, but the rest of the site doesn't necessarily have to filter down to the drawer, and that is what my search preferences is controlling. So I have drawer set. I can change this to be new basic search. That's basically what the whole T4 looked like. New advanced search, which gives you more filter criteria, and this happens when you click on other pages like noms, schedules, or tickets. Last search of this type, or last search across all types. So let's click on one of these pages, and I'll dive into that. So I'm going to move this down here. I still have drawer set, and I'm simply going to just click on schedules. Now, here's what has been brought back to me. Carrier BPL and CPL, everything that happened in the next 10 days, and everything that is product type gas. The reason I'm seeing all of this is because that's what I have set in my drawer, BPL, CPL, and gas, and it's also the next 10 days is what I have set in the dashboard here under schedules. So if I change this to be current month, and I click back on schedules, I'm going to see everything that's happening in the current month. If I want to change any of this, I can simply click at the top of any of my search criteria grids, or I can use the expand collapse icon, and I can enter in new information. A lot of times it's helpful to hit clear all to clear out some of the dates, the date elements. But I don't necessarily have to do that. If you like the information, you'll see it actually shows all of the schedule information here. Okay. Now, if I change this to say new basic search, the next time I go to schedules, I don't get this information. I get a blank page right here. And if I change this to be last search of this type, the next time I go to this page, I'm going to get the most recent schedule search that I've done. In this case, this was the last schedule search that this account did. And if I change it to be last search across types, the next time I go here, I'm going to get the last search of any type that I've done, nom, schedules, or tickets. So for example, because I hit last search across types, when I go over to nominations, it's going to try to pull all of those carriers right here, and it's was trying to put them in requested date because that's what I had on the for the schedule. And of course that Colonial and Explorer, most pipelines actually don't use that requested date. So that's how the search preferences work in conjunction with the dashboard. I want to stop here and take some questions about the dashboard and the search, the drawer, because I think if everyone understands that, that will alleviate some of the concern and confusion that people have about what's happening as they navigate through the site. There must be some questions. We certainly get a lot of questions about it in our help desk, so.
Is there a master list that would tell you the commodity being shipped as well as is the tankage meaning the destination, that column?
Well, let me understand. What do you mean by master list? You want to find out what all tankage is, or what all products are for that particular pipeline?
Yeah, the code that would be used to designate what commodity that batch represents. Is there a master list of those codes? And also, is the tankage column where you would consider your destination for that batch?
No. So we'll talk about that on nom entry. Tankage is a term that a lot of carriers will call connecting carrier. It means the terminal. It means connecting carrier. And it is normally very closely associated with a location. So as you can see here, we have the Nashville location, the delivery for Colonial, and Magellan is the tankage at that location. In this case, they're the terminal. As far as answering your question about the master list, there's two ways to find out information about that. So I'm going to turn my site back onto the drawer. I'm going to go over to, and I'm going to remove gasoline because I don't want to filter that down. Okay, and I'm going to click on nominations. Now, generically, if you need to find information about like the description for a product code, all of our fields in the new interface have type ahead. Okay, so if I start typing a code, it brings me up the description. I can also type in the company name, and it brings up all the descriptions. And it does the same thing for products, etc. Everywhere throughout the site where you type in a description, it will bring up the code and the shippers, etc. Same thing with company. So if I want to look up, Magellan, I can just type that in, and you can see it brings it up here. That's one way, and that's kind of a hunt and peck way of doing it. The other way to show you everything is to go over to this cogwheel here, and then this is basically our settings area, and then go to lookup codes. And then you can change this to say products, for example. I'm going to actually make this bigger. Almost all of these things I call modals are movable and resizable within the application. And so you can pick the product, and you can pick the carrier, and you can see a list of all the codes. If you want to look at all the 60 grades, you can come here and you can see them here. And they have the same thing with shippers, locations, line segments, even company administrators. This is really, the company administrator is really helpful because A lot of times, if you have a new shipper that you're doing a deal with, you have nobody that you know to contact from that company. You just know you're doing this new deal with Johnny's Quick and Truck. You can come here to the company administrator list. You can find Johnny's Quick and Truck through this list, and then you'll at least have a person, a phone number, and an email to reach out to and say, hey, who's the scheduler for Johnny's, Quick and Truck. But you can find a lot of additional information here. That's lookup codes. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. Perfect. So before I move on from the dashboard and the drawer, do we have any questions about, actually I'll spend a little more time on the dashboard. So you guys think of some questions. I'll finish going through the dashboard and you can ask them. So some changes that we have on the new interface. The dashboard is limited right now to the columns you can select. They're set. You can move them around and restructure them, but the order of the columns and the columns that are showing are set. You'll notice, though, that there are a couple things that are standard throughout the website. One is these batch codes. If you click anywhere on a batch code within our site, for the most part, you're going to see our batch details pages. So in this case, let me find one. Let me find one to schedule and ticket. Here we go. So you can see this batch is scheduled and ticketed. I can see the information on the batch. By the way, this nom grid, even if you filter down like by location, it actually shows you the entire batch. But I'm going to click on this batch code, and you'll notice it goes up here in our batch search, and it brings me to the batch details page. The batch details page is there to show you everything about this batch. It shows you the noms, it shows you the schedules, and it shows you all the tickets. If you click on the ticket number, it'll show you the actual ticket. And that's another functionality that's consistent to the site. Anywhere you see a ticket number, if you click on it, you will get the ticket popped up in a modal. And you can grant TPTs from these pages, and you can also copy your nom, edit your nom, you can actually view the history of your nom, and you can add a new nomination, all from the batch details pages. You get here from two ways. One, you click on the batch code, or you can enter a full or partial batch up here in the batch search, which will also get you there. And we'll talk about that. So I'm going to go back here. The other change you'll see, and this might be in QA and not production right now, is this little drop-down arrow. If you see the drop-down arrow, you click on it, you'll have a lot of additional options. If you are the shipper on this batch, you can actually edit the nom and copy the nom. So right from here, I'll hit Edit Nom, it'll bring me a pop-up dialog, and I can actually change my nom and even copy, delete it, print it, or I can view history on this batch. So it'll show me step-by-step who entered it, what else happened to it, etc. And all of that is available from the noms grid on the dashboard and from the noms page when you see the little drop-down arrow. So as I scroll down, I'll see schedules. And by the way, if I click on any of these, it'll bring me to the page. I'll see tickets, just like before. If I click on the ticket number, it brings me the actual ticket here. You can see. And then you, at the bottom, you actually have your TPTs. So I have requests, and then if I change this to grant, I can see the 8 grants that I have here. Okay, and that's really it for the dashboard. Any questions before I move on to nominations?
I have a question about the basket.
Okay, the drawer, yeah. I think I like basket.
The drawer, sorry. Okay, so my search preferences. Are we able to create our own name up there, or?
No, it's just these 5. You can either say that you want the drawer to dictate what happens. You can do the new basic search, advanced search, last search, or last search across type. However, you can save a search and it will show up here. So if you want to look for A grade on Colonial, everything that's happening next month, you can go to the search, save that. Well, I'll just do it. So if you wanted to come here, I'm going to hit clear, and you say, okay, I want to look at CPL. I want to look at everything A, so A, our little wild card there, Shift 8, and I want to look at everything that's going to happen next month. I can search for that, and you can see I have the 192 results. I can save this and say A grade next month, hit save, And now I can set this as a push to come to me periodically, every day, every couple hours, and you'll also see it here from the saved searches. So if you want, no matter where you are on the site, you can click on that. So even if I'm over here at tickets, it will still be here in my saved searches. And if I click on it, there we go.
Okay, good, thanks.
Is that kind of what you were?
Yes, that's exactly what I was wanting to do.
Okay. Now, I'm going to bring up a point. I think I might have found a bug. I hit this thing and this edit nomination. I'm curious what this is going to do. Yeah, interesting. So this is a little bug here in our test environment. And again, this is test environment. They're doing a lot of code here, so I'm not surprised to find a bug here. But what should you do if you find a bug or if you have a question? Maybe you'll think about contacting us. You'll take some screenshots. You'll try to write about it. It's all kind of a pain in the you-know-what. But we've changed the way you give us feedback so that we can we can quickly respond to that feedback and then get those changes either through our development cycle or record new feature requests. So what I would do is I'd come over here and hit this feedback button, which is a little flag here to the right. I'm going to move my mouse just to make sure everyone sees it. The feedback flag to the far right. I'm going to click on that, and it's going to pop me up some dialogue. Now you can actually go and mark this up. So in this case, I'll pull my highlighter out and I'll say, like, highlight it. I'll put an arrow. I'll put another arrow. I can put a comment right here. Comment. Say, I did not create this save search. And please fix for me. And I'll hit send. Now what has just happened is that the T4 help desk is getting this screenshot with a ticket and your comments into our ticketing system that shows them what browser you were using, what resolution you were using. It gives them your email because you put it into the feedback button there, and it shows them this screenshot that you just saw so they can then react and take appropriate steps. Here's how that should typically work for you as the customer. You submit feedback. The customer success desk will look at it and see if it's an issue that needs response, some training, or is a bug. They'll respond back to you. At the same time, if it's a bug, they'll escalate it to our QA department, who then goes through the process of doing entering it into our development lifecycle, fixing the bug, putting it into iteration, etc. If it's a really cool feature that a lot of people have asked for, we have kind of a priority feature queue, and we just see how that fits into development. And if it's a kind of a really big feature for the future, we put that into a special bin and review that every 3 to 6 months to say, hey, what are all the things the customers are asking for? What should we, improve next? So I say all this to encourage you. If you have ideas, submit them. We can't do all of your ideas, but we certainly will do the ones that have the biggest bang for your buck, the ones that are most important and are being requested the most. We want to tackle those things, eventually. Okay, so I bring us right here to the NOMS page. Now I've done a NOM search, and just like with the dashboard, I have this little drop-down arrow. So if it's one of my batches, you'll be able to see it here. Now, in production right now, under NOMS, you have search, add, confirm, and this is for if you're the tankage party and you want to confirm it. Colonial integrity. We have NOM capacity, which is really an allocation feature. If you have Explorer, you have NOM integrity for them as well. I think it says EXP integrity right now. And you can click on any of them. What you don't have in production right now, is this edit button. We've added this back. It basically does the exact same thing as search. The difference is it will only show you NOMs that you can edit. It will only show you NOMs where you are the shipper. That was one of the changes we made from our old version to the new version. We kind of removed the change button because it just wasn't necessary. You can change a NOM from anywhere, but what we were finding is, unlike the shippers that have AAA as their shipper code and filter right to the top, if you were, a shipper with a Q or a V or a W, that was showing up near the end of the list, and you were seeing a bunch of batches where you're the tankage or supplier. You didn't necessarily, as a scheduler, care about looking at those and changing those. And so if you click on the edit button, you get the same thing you see right now, except you only see the batches that you're the shipper of. So I'm going to go in and let's just add a blank nom that we've never added before. So I'm going to click add, and the first thing you're going to need to do, as always, is select a carrier. T4 is pretty consistent across all of our carriers. One of the major exceptions to that is the way you put in nominations. That really does change by carrier. In this case, I'm going to go and I'll just pick Buckeye. But notice you have all this linked shipper information for Bengal and Colonial. When I click Buckeye, I don't see any of that information. They don't require linked shippers. Colonial uses linked shipper for PTO entry on T4. So I click Carrier Buckeye, I pick from my shipper list. Most of you will just have one shipper in your dropdown, but some of you have multiple shipper codes that you can actually schedule on, so you want to pick the appropriate one. Now I'm going to go to product. Now maybe I don't know what the code is for jet fuel on Buckeye, but if you want to type in the description, you'll actually see it gives me everything with the word Caro. So if I wanted to, I could put in aviation kerosene. I can pick 82. Now, one of the other things you can do, and it's hard to picture this, but if everyone looks down at their keyboards right now and they look at the lower right side, you'll see the numeric or the arrow pad has up, down, left, and right. Now, if you look at that arrow pad and you hit down twice on the keyboard, this will then present all of the valid options that are available for whatever field I'm in. In this particular case, I'm looking at product. So these are all of the Buckeye product codes that are available. You can see everything here. You can do the same thing actually by entering in space. Or if you want, you can just type in the product code. Okay. Next is cycle. Now, Buckeye's unique. Well, I shouldn't call them unique. Buckeye's similar to other pipelines, Sunoco Logistics, Inland, West Shore, Buckeye. They all require requested date on their origin locations. Where they're a little different is they give you a cycle calendar. So you can see I have cycle as a hyperlink. I can actually click this, and it's going to say, okay, for this subsystem, what, and actually product too, some of the systems actually do include product or linden systems, what cycle and event date do I want to select this for? So this right now has the inland inbound, but I can actually change this. Let's say if I want to go to the Midwest system, I can change that. I get the new calendar, I pick the cycle, it populates the cycle, and it also populates the requested date, and as you can see, it changes the subsystem. This is new here. We also added the description to these because get a lot of questions. That's Long Island. Didn't you know that? So we added the descriptions to all these SCDs here, so just ease of use. Of course, you want to normally leave sequences as next. It just creates a unique batch code so you can ship multiple product 82 on Midwest for cycle 15. Okay, so moving on. We got the batch code entered, and now we need to start putting in the volumes. You do not put the volumes in here. Where you put the volumes is in the individual events. So in this case, let's say I want a 3-event nom, 1 origin and 2 destinations. I'm going to add an event so that I have 3, and I'm going to start putting them in here. So this is in M barrels, so I'm going to put in 150. So for 150,000 M barrels, you can see the unit measure is defaulted up here to the right. And I want to put in locations. Now, if you don't know an origin location on the Midwest, like for instance, you didn't know it was Chicago, and that code is CCX for Buckeye, you can hit down twice on your keyboard, and you can see all the valid origin locations for the Midwest. In this case, I want to pick Chicago. You can put a supplier constantly if you'd like. If you leave it blank, it will default to you, which is typical. And then I can go down to tankage. Now, again, if you don't know valid tankage for location CCX, you can hit down twice or hit space, and it will give you all the valid tankage locations for Chicago, the complex. In that case, I'll put in CCX. If I want to, I can also just type in CCX. The next field is new, and this is the grantee field. What it does is allow you to issue third-party grants right here from the nom screen. So if I want to grant this to BBB and Exxon and US Oil, I can simply do that by putting in the code, comma, etc. If I want to leave a remark to the scheduler I can, and then from here I'm going to keep going down the line. So I want to put in another 100,000. I want to put them in Bradley Road. And again, I know the code, but if I didn't, I could just hit down on the keyboard and it would show me every valid delivery for that. And I want to put in valid tankage for Bradley Road. I don't want to grant it to anybody, and then I'll put the remaining 50 at, let's go Coriopolis, right there at CP. And then I'll put Buckeye. Everything looks good. I'm done entering the information. I'm simply going to go over here and hit Save Nomination, and it's going to do a couple things. On every single pipeline besides Colonial and Bengal, it will either give you a success or fail. In this case, a success. On Colonial, however, we go through a secondary process where we actually run that nomination through their business rules, and run it through their servers, and that's why you get back warnings or different error messages. If you get a warning, you'll see the warning message here. You can react to it and hit save again. And if you get an error, then you have to change something. In this case, everything looks hunky-dory. Now, after I've saved any nomination, I can either add a new nomination, which gives me a blank screen. I can copy the nomination, or I can change this nomination. Just to show you how easy this is, I'm going to go ahead and copy this nomination. This looks good. I want it for cycle 15, but I need to pick a new date, so I'll go here and I'll say I'll change this to this date. I like the origin location and the destinations. You'll notice it blanked out grantees. I'm going to say I don't want to grant this to anyone. I hit Save Nomination, and now I have 2 nominations. Any questions about nom entry? Okay. Now, if I go back to the dashboard and I have my settings set on my maintenance, you'll actually see those 2 noms I just entered up here. And from here, I can, if I want, I can copy them. Let's say I want to change the date, new cycle, hit Save Nomination, give it a close, and it's there. And if I go over to nominations, I can actually see all my 82 stuff. I'll go out here and clear this, and I'll say, okay, I want to look at product 82, and I want to look at everything cycle 15 through cycle 16. So this is a case where I'm using wildcards. I'm using the hyphen to show me cycle 15 through cycle 16. I can also use, and if you see, if I slow down moving, you also see when I hover over it, it shows me the tooltip that shows me what I can use. In this case, I can only use a hyphen, or I can use the comma. But I can also use these in product here. So if I hover over product, you'll see that, oh, sorry, I was a little too fast for it. I can also use like the Shift 8, the asterisk, and that will show what I can use for wildcards here. In this case, I can use the comma, the limited list. I can use the asterisk to show me everything 08 anything, or I can use a question mark to show me everything from 08A to 081, etc. So I'll use these 2 wildcards. I don't have any other criteria, and I'll just hit search. As you can see, I see the 3 batches that I just submitted. If I don't like one of these, I can come here. I can say edit nomination. I can delete the nomination. Yep, I want to delete it. I can close my box, and you can see it even refreshes the nom screen. Now, I want to point out something that's a little different from the old version to the new version. At the bottom here, this says search totals. The old version of T4 was page totals. This is now search totals. So here's what I mean. I hit clear. I want to look at everything that happened in the last 90 days. I hit search. It's going to take some time to pull that much information. You can see it maxed me out at my 250. I'm only showing 25 on the page, but if I look at the search totals, I see everything. You can also change how many you see. If you keep it at 150, 25, or 10, it will remember that. And if you go to all, it will bring it back down to 25. So in this case, if I change it to 100, I can I'll see all 100, or I'll see the first 100, excuse me. But you notice the search totals, they have not changed because that's truly the full search. And all this functionality you see me working here up in the box up top is the same for NOM, schedules, tickets, etc. Now, a lot of customers ask, well, I like to look at my NOMs, and I like to look at my tickets and my schedules, and I like to have them on different windows. How can I do that without opening different browser sessions? Well, what you can do at any of the pages is there's some options up at the top right here. One is the little star. That sets it as your favorites. So if you want the NOM page as your favorite, you can click on that, and it will add it as a favorite here in your drawer. And the next is this little arrow, which will open up the current page in a new tab. So you can see here, I've got the page I was just at. I open up the current page in the new tab, and now this browser lets you just go anywhere you'd like within the site. This is new from the old version, because the old version, you could open in a new tab, but you could only see that thing that you were looking at. If you search NOMs, you can only see the results of that one NOM search. You saw that in the new tab. It didn't let you navigate around. You kind of lost your headers. In this case, I can truly look at schedules here, and then I can look at NOMs there. Now, we are making some progress on what's called responsive design, but you'll see that if I bring this down to a half page, that you can still see things, but your menu bar does change a bit here. Okay, and if I broke this out in a zone, I could put that over there, side by side. Some of this, we're working pretty diligently to make this view a little more user-friendly for the customers. We'll get there. We'll get there eventually. I'll go close this. Okay. And last, but certainly not least, some of the other common items on this grid. I'm going to minimize this so you can see more. You have the ability to print your results. You have the ability to download your results to a CSV. So if I click on this, it'll download that file right to your machine. It gives you the top 100 results, and it shows you a lot of what is typically requested, but it doesn't mirror the exact columns that you saw on the previous page. There is some limits here. It only gives you 100, and it gives you these columns. But you can click on that and download that. And you can sort A to Z here. This is like a multi-sort if you need to sort by multiple columns, but you can also sort within each of these fields just by clicking on the header. It'll sort it for you. You can save this search, and you can even go to our push screen and start creating a push right from these pages here. One of the areas I neglected to talk about, along with the multi-sort, you can click on any of these headers and it'll sort them, but you'll notice if I hover over the right edge of any of the columns, it gives me a little bar. If I click on that, I can actually go and select every or any column that I want to see on my grid. See, the NOM grid has a lot of options. This is important because, one, it lets you customize your own account, and this is truly remembered for your account. You don't have to select it every time you come here. You select it once, it will always remember it. But also, if you set up pushes, it will remember those columns. So, for example, schedules is an important one because people are really particular about the schedule columns. Stop date's a good example. If you're shipping on Colonial, you don't care about stop date because Colonial doesn't publish stop date where other carriers do. So you might want to go in here and actually, let's say I want to remove stop date from here. You can see it's removed. And you can pick columns. A legacy batch code is one you might want to add if you're shipping on Wolverine. I think Sunoco uses a legacy batch code as well, although I don't know if it's used as much by the customers. And then if I come over here and I set up my push, and I go, I want to set up a schedule push. I want it data-driven. I like everything I'm getting. Make this a little bigger here. I'm going to say, what did I do that as? Current month. Current month schedule, or just say all schedules. All schedules. I click in here. I pick the only valid email. I choose whether it's embedded or PDF. I hit save and close. This push is now created, and I'll show you a different way to get around to do it. But it's also using just these columns to set that push. Finally, I'm going to go over to the ticket search. The search is very, very similar to every other page. Some of the differences being stuff like ticket version. So if you want to look at voided tickets or not, you always have advanced search to bring it down to ticket type or product type. And all the search fields are just a little different. There's no location on. I'm sorry, there's no line on a nom search, but there is a line on a ticket search, and there certainly is a line on a schedule search. So if you can't find something in basic, go into advanced, and it's probably there for you. One of the main difference between tickets and all the other pages is the ticket number is hyperlinked, and again, you click on that, and you get the ticket. And here you can actually also go in and click on multiple tickets. And at the bottom, you can say show selected tickets, and you get them all. If you print them one per page, and at the bottom of each ticket you can grant them as a TPT. Okay, I'm going to stop there for just a moment because I know I covered a whole heck of a lot in a very short time period. It's one of my faults. So let's take some questions if you have them about searching through your main functions, nom, schedules, and tickets.
Justin, it's Christine. You have a question about how about making a change using your phone?
Okay. The phone. Oh, the phone. Oh, the phone. Okay, so here's where we stand on making a change in our phone. Right now, the phone experience is, I'm just going to call it not awesome to be kind to us, but it's worse than that. Come April 22nd, some of that is going to get quite a bit better, and noms is one of those issues. So right now, you go to a nom and you try to change a nom on your phone, it opens in that modal and you can't see or do anything. On the phone on April 22nd, that's going to change. It's going to be the nom screen, and then you can do the pinch and pull and move, and we're making a few other code changes to scaling and zooming to make that experience better for changing a nom on the phone. That's a stopgap, though. That's not a great mobile experience. It's just a passable / maybe even good, depending on the page you're looking at. After we get through our next phase of development, the thing we're working on for the remainder of the year is a mobile website. That is a brand new application that is designed specifically for the resolution functionality of a mobile device. That will make your mobile experience awesome. And so I encourage everyone to keep submitting feedback on that mobile experience. Actually, we removed the feedback button because it was kind of taking up too much room. We needed as much room as possible, but any feedback you give us, again, after April 22nd would be helpful. I hate to say that's a month away, but that's when a lot of that goes in. All the other stuff, like the tickets, these will end up opening full screen on a phone to help give you more information versus what it opens up now is it opens up like this on a phone. But if you're looking at it down to this and then you click on it, you can see you're not looking at a whole lot. By the way, this little guy here, this little guy here is called Hamburger. It's just a bigger version, and on your phone you want to click on that, and that's how this is kind of like the phone view here, where as you click on it with your thumb, you can still do everything. We're also adding in some search functionality right here in the header, which should be in April. Thank you for that question. I always like talking about things that are particularly embarrassing, like our mobile experience. Any other questions about nom, schedules, ticket searches? I can enter additional noms if you have questions about colonial noms or explorer noms. Okay, well, speak up in the chat if you have questions, or you can feel free to speak up there. Now, I've gone through and I've done quite a bit of searching through NOM schedules and tickets. One of the ways that you can quickly pull up those prior searches again is you can click on this little magnifying glass here, and it brings up all of your recent search history, so that if you'd like, you can say, click on it, and it just researches it for you, reruns the search. So you can see it pulls up pretty quickly. And the goal is, you want to be able to navigate around, pretty quickly. If you have any questions about how to do any of this stuff, one thing that has definitely got better from the old to the new is our help section. Before, you basically use the help section to cover lookup codes, which we've already talked about. Now, we have its own help icon, and when you click on this, you get brought to an entirely separate page that has a Google-esque search grid, so you can say, how to, and you can see all the things that say how to. And if you want to set up a push, you can click on the article, and we have step-by-step instructions with how to set up a push, and you can come through here and you click on it and you see high resolution images, etc. And this is throughout the site. If you have a question, you can post it. I know it says post a public question. It's somewhat of a misnomer. What happens is you post a question to us, we can answer it and then make it public, and then others can comment back on it. But if then you search, you'll also see other questions that people have asked about. So like I think, here's one. I think this is a question. Yep, so you can see here someone asked, how do I select a column for my search results? And Woody answered it. And then I came in and said, hey, there's an article. And no one from the community has answered, but they could have if they'd like to. So this is in the help section. And this ties in directly to our knowledge base and our ticketing system, so that our customer support reps can actually, if you have a question about something, they can actually link you the article that's here. And that is accessed directly from our application through the little help button. You can bookmark this if you'd like. It's just transport4.desk.com, and always have access to it as well. And if you want to just kind of browse around here, we've tried to do our best to put them in generic topics, like what are the things you need to look at when you're getting started, most common functions, there's some admin stuff, overview, etc. I think this is the one that has the video. Yeah. Okay. So, NOM schedules, tickets, allocations is one we should cover. More of our systems are posting allocations through T4. Right now, you're getting your Buckeye, Colonial, Explorer, and TEPCO allocations in T4. The Buckeye, Colonial, Explorer use the NOM capacity button, so I can actually click on it, or I can just click the allocations tab, and I get that here. You can pick your carrier, and you can pull your allocations. I don't know if we have any test data here for these guys. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Every pipeline displays their allocations a little different. The biggest departure is a Colonial. They have minimum noms, but it all boils down to really initial nom, current nom, what your binding request is, and what you've been allocated. If they have a cap or a penalty program, you'll see that here. In this case, you can see that this shipper here had a threshold of 21,250. They shipped nothing. This is the difference, and then this is the charge based off of Explorer's 42 cents a barrel. You see the system there, but you can also filter it down if you want to look at just a specific system. You can do that, and it works the same with Buckeye and Colonial. Buckeye and Colonial do not show the charges here, but Explorer does. Okay. So, other questions we get.
Muted. Unmuted.
We had someone who was loud. She decided to mute me. Thanks, Christine. Okay, is the bulletins page. So the bulletin page has been changed to be, to remind you of a mail client, so that you can actually click on it, see the bulletin. Click on it, see the bulletin. You can do keyword searches up here. You can also sort and filter by carrier, and you can actually sort it as well. This isn't as used as much, but if you'd like to see it in a different fashion, you can sort it, or just filter by carrier, closed, and it sorts it there. And you can see if I click on them, I have it here. Now this is something new that we've added to. It's in QA right now, not quite in production. Is this little mover here. Sometimes, depending on your resolution, like I'll show you, sometimes people are using it like this. It will scrunch it up, and on the phone it does that as well. You can actually move this to kind of see more information or less information depending on your resolution. So there we go. So it gives you a little more space. Okay. Okay. The remaining two options in the notification center is alerts. So an alert is, well, I see I've not cleared out my alerts on my AAA account in a while. An alert is a notification that requires action on your behalf, or better said, maybe on the behalf of someone in your company. And that's one of the challenges of alerts, especially with like the granted TPT stuff and even the carrier deleted batch alerts, is they're all company specific. So if you're Chevron, there's 20 schedulers at Chevron, but maybe you're the origin scheduler for Colonial and Gas. Like that's the only thing you care about. Well, even when a Buckeye deletes a batch, a Chevron batch, you're going to get an alert here that shows you that it was deleted, and that's because you have Buckeye on your account. And so we're trying to explore some ways to make more alerts more personalized, yet give everyone in the company access to it, but maybe for a shorter duration, and then make a personalized alert that goes to you because you entered the nomination or you changed the nomination, so we can tell you, the person that cares about it, that this nom has changed. And we do that for a lot of stuff, including the carrier deleted batch alerts and the carrier change alerts, and rejections and TPTs, etc. But this screen lets you view your alerts. You can actually click on them here. They'll bring the little search up, and if you'd like, you can confirm them right from this page. I don't know what's going to happen if I click on 2,380. Yeah, gives me 100, and I can actually acknowledge them by hitting update selected, or if I want, I can acknowledge all. I don't know. See what this does. It's probably just going to acknowledge the 100. Yeah, that's what I'd have to acknowledge. Keep acknowledging now 500 at a time. So when I click on it, it only gives me 100, but then when I did basically a search here, it acknowledged them. Okay. And I'm not going to go through and acknowledge all of them. Feedbacks about better ways to alert, I encourage you to submit that to the help desk. It's a complex issue in that it's hard to get a one-size-fits-all solution. If any of these alerts you really truly need to act on, set up an alert push that is configured to the specifics that you care about. So if it's just Colonial, you can set up those alert pushes, and we'll get to pushes in a second. Last in the announcement center is third party. So in the old version of T4, third-party configurations and TPTs were kind of everywhere. You can still do them from all the pages. At the anom, you can add a TPT. From non-maintenance, you can add a TPT. From the schedules or tickets page, you can add a TPT. This new page is a one-stop shop for everything. So if you want to request a TPT, you can do that here through request. And you'll see it brings up a little request dialog. Okay. In this particular case, JR Test AAA, does not have authority to request a TPT because my company admin has not given me the privilege to do so. This has to be granted by your company admin because there's a charge for getting a third-party ticket. The charge is not based off of the batch grant, but in the actual ticket itself. For example, I can request a batch and I can see the nom because it was, they gave it to me, and I can see the schedule. But if that thing is never ticketed and I'm never given a ticket, you don't pay for that ticket. Most often, it's not that batch is withdrawn at some point, but whatever was granted to you was ultimately ticketed different. So the location changed, or the supplier changed, or the tankage changed, and it really depends on the specifics of how they granted that to you. But your company admin needs to give you that information. To know who your company admin is, you can go to lookup codes and find them, or you can simply click down here and you'll see the company admin and their email, their phone number, and their T4 information. Okay, but so I come back down here and I see the third-party ticket page. There are 5, little tables here. One shows inbound party grants. These are requests that have been made of your company. So someone else is requesting a batch from you. Inbound grants is they're batches that have been granted to you. Outbound third-party grants are stuff that you've requested from somebody, and now they need to grant them to you. Outbound third-party grants are stuff that you've granted to somebody, so you can actually withdraw them if you'd like from this page. You can give them a reason and withdraw the grant. Here. Okay. And then last and certainly not least, all the stuff that has actually been granted to you. And here you'll see little numbers. You'll see if it's been ticketed, or if it's scheduled, or if it's a nom. You can also use the filtering up here to filter down to any one of these combinations. So you can pick the grantors, the grantees. You can even pick down to the batch level information, and it'll filter all these grids. This number up here, this 8, is based off of the stuff that requires action, which is stuff that's been requested of you and stuff that has been granted to you. Okay. So if you have any questions about TPTs, okay. Someone in the chat said, please send the information to the help desk. That was Christine answering. Okay. So any questions about announcements, TPTs, etc.? Christine did respond to someone saying, hey, please send the information to the help desk. How do you do that? You can submit feedback, or you can simply send us an email or call us. We have 3 full-time help desk professionals and a couple people, including our QA department and myself, who back them up if need be. So, we make sure we have a lot of support for you guys if you have any questions. It truly is 24/7. Christine loves when she gets phone calls at 2 in the morning from terminals who need their passwords reset. She really does love that. She answers the phone, but she's a little grumpy the next day. Okay. So we're just at an hour. Some of the other features I was not planning to cover today, but we can certainly talk about them, is inventory. If you have any questions about it, and inventory is different by carrier. For carrier has their own little inventory page, but you can cover over inventory and you can see the carriers that we do have inventory and do not. Billing is going to show you the carrier invoice unless you are an accounting person or the company admin, and you'll also see the T4 invoice. Over the cogwheel, this is where you can see the configuration of your account. So I'll click on that. So if you ever have any questions like, why can't I see data? This is what lets you know what information you can and cannot see. In this case, I have access to all of these accounts only for the company AAA, and for all of them, I am a scheduler except for Wolverine, which I can only see tickets. You can also see when it was last logged in, when you did the last inquiry, what browser you're using, and this is actually pretty important stuff here, because if you feel like someone's kind of hacked your account, this is a way for you to kind of look at it, and you're actually your admin. You probably should, in that case, have your admin look at it and see when it was last logged in to see if that was you or not. You can change your name and your password here. If you're a company admin, this is a good way to change your name. You can't change your username, but you can say you can change Justin Ricketts there. Okay. The other things is contact information. If you need to update your contact information, you can do that here. We do encourage you to keep your account owner email up to date, because if you forget your password, you need to put in your account owner email along with, I think, your username. Let's go to the public site and we'll confirm that. So forget password. Yeah, you need your username and your account owner email, and it will generate an email directly to you. Okay, and then phone number. This is good when others need to get in touch with you, because we actually show your phone number, your email, and your name on the history screens if some other scheduler is trying to research you. For instance, I'll show you here exactly what I'm talking about. Actually, I'm just going to go to my dashboard. That's the easiest way to get it. So I'm going to go to my dashboard. These are noms I've actually looked at. I'm going to go to history, and you'll see I have my username. When I hover over it, it actually gives my name, my phone number, and my email. And our goal is everywhere where there's a username, we show the name, the phone number, email, so you can easily contact that person. Okay, there's a couple other options here. If you want to see the recent activity of your account, you can do that here. If you want to see what service you've been granted, of course, lookup codes, you can do that here. But the big one is this auto reports / push options. This is how you control the information that's sent to your email. So through XML services feeding ERP systems like SAP, we're trying to limit the touch points of T4, and through auto pushes, we're trying to limit the touch points of T4. This doesn't cost any more, and this is all configured by the shipper. It's in the individual username, and I encourage you guys to use pushes to get you out of T4 and into your email if that is the easiest way for you to see that information. The most common pushes that are set up are bulletins. Colonial puts out, I'll be honest with you, puts out a lot of bulletins, but if they are putting out a bulletin, it's normally something you probably want to know about. So you can add bulletins. You can see I don't have a bulletin push set up on this account, though I honestly do have on my main account, so I can read everything my carriers are publishing. And if I want to, I could add, I can pick the carriers that I want. All pushes default to everything, so you'll see all topics, all publishers, and you can see these are the publishers topic options. But if I want to filter it down to just Buckeye, I could pick Buckeye. I can say I want to look at all Buckeye bulletins, and now I'll just see Buckeye bulletins. I can say Buckeye, and then I get to my email address. Now when I click in here, you'll notice that I get my email address. That's the only email I had on my contact page. But if I want to send it to someone else, let's say jr@test.com, I can simply put that in here. And if I want to add it to 2 people, I can add receipt and say jr@home@t4.com, and I want this as a PDF, and I want this as a PDF, and I hit save and close. I've now just added those 2 new emails to my account, and I've added the pushes. I can actually look at them right here, and I can say I'm getting the push name I called Buckeye. I'm sending all topics, and I'm sending them here. There are some new functionality in this page that you didn't have in the prior version of T4, and a lot of that is status. So if you go on vacation for 2 weeks and you say, I don't want to receive all these bulletins while I'm away, you can actually change this to disabled, and it will stop pushing those bulletins for you while you have it set to disabled, and when you come back, you can enable it. And you can set these bulletins up, or I'm sorry, pushes up for all of these features you have. Some of them are data-driven, meaning when new data is available, we'll send it to you. Bulletins are example, schedules are example, tickets are example of that, and some of them are periodics. Like before, I think I set up, what was it? Was it a nom? When did I set that up? Yeah, nom. So I can come over here to nominations, and I want to say nom search. And because I set up a save search, I actually have that here in my save search list. If I didn't have that here, I could click add new. It would bring me to the nom page. I would do my search, save it, and then it would bring me back to this page so that I can set the frequency with which I want this. So in this case, I had my A grades for next month. If I want to receive a blank push with no information because no results are found, I click that. I can say I want it 3 times a day at these times, but if you want it at specific times, you can click here and say, I just want it at 9 a.m. These are all central. You set the push name, which in this case, it just defaults to the save search. And then I can click in here, set it there, hit save. And now I will get my nomination push set to me once a day at 9 a.m. Okay, is there, Christine, Hunter, did I miss anything that I should cover? Oh, you know what, I never really covered batch search. Okay, so batch search brings you to the batch specific page. So this lets you type in several elements. For instance, if you want to look up all your AA82 grade, you can type AAA for your shipper, type in 082, and let's say you wanted to look up everything for cycle 15, you can put that in there. You hit batch search. It will pull up one batch if that's all it's found. If more than one batch is found matching that criteria, it'll ask you to pick the batch. So you go ahead and you pick it, and it brings you to this page. It's a really quick way to pull up a batch if that's what you want, and it's available everywhere. Okay, with that, hopefully I am done creeping in on topics. Hunter or Christine, is there anything you think I missed that we should cover?
No, I think you did a great job.
Okay, well, anyone else have any questions? I mean, we're here. I'm sure the group would love to engage in feedback if that's what you like. Okay, well, we're going to hang around for about 5 minutes, but I'm going to close the meeting and say thank you very much. If anyone has questions, you're more than welcome to hang around and ask them. We'll hang around as long as we need to.
That's why you see
Thanks, guys.
5-level API, and then maybe a runner on the RDP. You get that API, all 5 of them, the mixed tank will be the same.